What it do, Packer Nation? I'm Camille Davis, and you have found yourself at the Pack a Day Podcast YouTube page. And I'm here to talk to y'all after this Packers 30-27 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, a game which had my emotions all over the place. A real up and down game for the most part. Jordan Love tweaks his knee or tweaks something, I'll say, on the very first possession of the day for the Packers, and it continued to bother him throughout the game until he's pulled in the third quarter. Before we get to the third quarter, let's start at the beginning of the game, right? The Packers opened up with a 10-0 lead. And you might look at that and be like, well, that's what's up. But with as dominant as the Packers defense was, honestly, the offense should have been up more than 10-0 at that point because the defense was on their job. Okay. They forced 2 3-and-outs, then an interception, then another 3-and-out. And out of those 4 possessions, the Packers were only able to come up with 10 points, getting the ball back from the Jaguars. But listen, the Packers eventually put some points on the board, as I mentioned, going up 10-0. The Jaguars responded, and going into halftime, the Packers were only up by 3 points with a 13-10 lead. It was a weird first half. Just it didn't feel like things were really clicking for the offense all the way. They only converted 1/3 down of 6 tries. They had the Jordan Love interception right before the Trevor Lawrence interception. And that Love pick was bad because of the timing and where it was, right? That was an 11-play drive. They had went 76 yards when Jordan Love threw that interception. They had the ball for 7 minutes, no points because Jordan Love threw his first red zone interception of the season at that time and point. But the defense responded, took the ball back. Xavier McKinney back on the board, his 6th interception in 8 games. Now the man has been an amazing addition to the Packers. So again, they go into halftime up 13-0, and the Jaguars should have felt pretty good about that, given the fact they were down 10-0 at one point. They were able to score a field goal before the half ended, and they got the ball back to start the second half. The Packers defense forces a 3-and-out to start the second half off. Packers get the ball back. Jordan Love kind of tweaks something again on the very first possession of the second half for the green and the gold. And at that point, you see him run off to the sideline. He just kind of falls. And at that point, Matt LaFleur said in the post-game presser, like they just felt like Love couldn't protect himself anymore. So they had to do what they had to do in order to protect their quarterback. So in comes Malik Willis. And before he gets a chance to have his first possession, the Jaguars score right after that Jordan Love injury. And it felt like momentum was changing at that point. But then the Packers respond. On that very first possession with Levis at the helm for the entire time, the Packers had a big rushing drive there. They only passed the ball once on that particular possession. Well, they had 2 pass plays. On another one, Willis had a 20-yard scramble, but it was really carried by Josh Jacobs on that one. And then the Packers defense forces a fumble. Shout out to the rookie Edrin Cooper. Again, the kid's a star. He's a star. He is flashing all over the place. Wyatt recovers it. The Packers get the ball back in great field possession. And then Tucker Kraft gets a real nice touchdown pass off of a play action. So 2 straight touchdowns for the Packers. You would think the Jags were done, but they weren't. They came back and responded with a 10 points run of their own. They scored a touchdown. Then they hit a field goal. And now you're looking at 27 off for both of these teams. The Packers have like a minute 48 to try to get into field goal range to win the game. And you know they're going to have to pass the ball at some point. And when they do, it's on a play that apparently wasn't even part of the game plan. It was something that was drawn up on the sidelines, something they had talked about during practice and decided not to install. But then they were like, hey, let's actually go ahead and do this. And Willis hits Reed for a beautiful 51-yard pass. They immediately get into field goal position. And what I love the most about that particular drive is the fact that Chris Brooks had a chance to score, but understanding game situation, he goes down at like the 4 in order to keep the clock running. Couple of kneel downs, and then you get McManus coming in to hit the game winner. So the Packers walk out of Jacksonville with a 30-27 victory, a place where a lot of Packer fans, they don't like playing in Florida, right? But the Packer fans and the crowd definitely came out. They made themselves known, but now the attention turns to the fact that the Packers came out that game a little banged up. Mentioned Jordan Love going down in the second half, very first possession for the Packers with what they are terming to be a groin injury, which all things considered, The fact that the Packers aren't saying this is a knee injury, I think is some positive news. Something to keep an eye on for sure. Jair Alexander on the last touchdown pass for the Jaguars. Ja came up limp trying to go for the ball. He kind of came down, favored his right ankle, didn't want to put too much weight on it. And then the Packers lost Evan Williams before the first half was over. And after Williams went out, the secondary and the rotations, things got a little bit shaky for him. But the Packers found a way to win. They found a way to do enough to come out with the victory, which is what you can hope for. I've mentioned in the last few weeks, you've been seeing this Packer team in situations where over the last few years, might have been an L, but they found a way to win. Shout out to the team effort. And again, there are things to clean up. From what I saw from PFF, apparently the Packers defense missed a season high 15 tackles today. They had previously not missed more than 10 this season. And again, they just looked out of sorts once Williams dropped and they were facing, a Jaguars team that has some talent. Although in the last few drives there, the Jaguars were without their top two receivers as well, with Thomas and Kirk going out. But all in all, the Packers sit at 6-2. They get ready to go up against the 6-1 Detroit Lions next week before they head into their bye. You obviously hope that Jordan Love's good, that Ja is good, that the Packers are going to be able to be at full strength. And I'm hoping that as well. And I'm thankful that the bye is right in the distance. You can see it. If they can get there, get another week to rest and get better for that second half run for the end of the season, the better it will be. But for today, we celebrate a win. You celebrate a win no matter how it looks, no matter how it comes, because a win is a win and they're hard to come by. You know what I mean? So Packers did what they had to do. They came out with an ugly win, and they showed again that this is a team that has a lot of stick-to-itiveness to it, right? They look at adversity and they don't run from it. They don't give up. They don't shrivel up. They continue playing through it. And that's what you hope for from a team, because in order to get to that big game, you got to find a lot of different ways to win a game. So the Packers found a way to win. It wasn't pretty. It was not pretty down there in Jacksonville, but they found a way, and that's what's important. What's also important is for y'all to keep it locked into the Pack a Day podcast on the YouTube, as well as wherever you get your podcasts as well. There's also additional content on the audio side, so make sure y'all check that out. And as always, go Pack Go.